I think this specific video that I'm making, I want to make it for people who might be going through a stage of grief, whether it's from, could be a relationship, could be a friendship, it could be family members, and it doesn't have to be like death, It could just be just the loss. I don't know, like you're not friends with someone no more or something like that, in that kind of situation. But I was having my therapy session today, and something that was brought up, and something that I'm glad that was brought up, was because the last couple weeks I've been juggling a lot with holding, like allowing myself to grieve properly. And by that I mean just giving myself the space to grieve because I was in that situation where you know you your intentions can be can be righteous, they can be aligned with the most loving, wholesome energy behind it, but it doesn't, like, you can't redirect, the impact. Like, the impact still happened to the other person, whether it's a friendship, relationship, something, mistakes, something that you did that affected that other person in a not so good way, like in a very unhealthy way, where you caused like all sorts of feelings, And that's kind of where I have been kind of battling with the idea, the feeling of allowing myself to grieve, but also having these like emotions of like hurt, like shame, like disappointment, like putting all these labels on myself, where it's hard for me to not identify myself with the mistakes that I did, Like making the mistakes, and as well making the mistakes part of my identity. So in that situation, it's hard for me to not feel the full grief of what I'm going through, because I I feel like I shouldn't, because I think about the other person, and I don't want their hurt. I don't want what they're going through, their confusion, their reality being a little bit distorted and confusing right now because of something that I've done, be a backdrop of my growth, of my self-realization, my epiphanies, like me going to therapy and finding things about myself where certain patterns come from and things like that. Like I it's like I just wanted to make sure that everything that I do, everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm saying, even when I come on the camera here and speak, it doesn't come from like a egotistical, like narcissistic, like very self-centered way. Like, I want to make sure that I'm holding this other person's hurt, grief, confusion the same on the same balance, as what I am in this current stage of self-realization, and growth, and trying to better myself and find the answers of why I do certain things or why I do certain problems. Like, I don't know. It's just such a it's such a weird dynamic that I was having, but I got a little bit of clarity, obviously, with like speaking with the therapist and just kind of going back and forth with her. And yeah, I think it's difficult though, and I think it's something that I have to just in a way kind of release myself of those shackles that I'm letting this mistake have on me, because then I'm not going to truthfully grow, because I'm going to be continuously held down and continuously be drowned by identifying myself with the mistakes that I've done. So, yeah, I mean, I'm saying all this to say that it's okay to it's okay to feel your feelings, to go through the grief, through all the emotions, even if you're on the giving end of you caused hurt, confusion to someone. As long as you're self well, no, because sometimes self-awareness doesn't account for being like wanting to change. Sometimes those someone can be very self-aware, but if there's no being self-aware but also not doing what needs to be done to change whatever it is that you're trying to change in yourself, that is something that is either holding you back, whether it's business wise, financial wise, career, purpose, relationships. Like, you can be self-aware of so many things, but sometimes in a way, like if you're not taking the appropriate actions from what you're receiving from your self-awareness and your thoughts and reflections, but you're not applying the proper actions and the shadow work to change yourself into a better person, whatever that means to you, then it's just kind of, you're just kind of in your head going through things. Yeah, it's cool, but you can, sometimes self-awareness, like, I don't know, like it can just be something cool and adds depth to a person. Like, you're self-aware, but what's the point of being self-aware if you're just kind of like continuously giving into the pattern, to the loop, to the urges of your mistakes, and it just keeps resurfacing and you're caught in this loop. And that's kind of what I've caught myself in, like the last couple of years, with myself, and being someone who was very self-aware and in touch with their emotions and feelings, but I was never doing the proper root work of what it takes to be self-aware, but also takes to knowing what you need to do, but you're not doing it. You're not doing the work. So it's kind of like, what's the point? You're just stuck in your head going through these self-awareness thoughts. You know that this is, you need to do this, but you're not. So you're just kind of caught in this loop because you're not doing the work. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I got. But, yeah, peace.